here.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me on. I know I've been very busy, but I have to make time for you. So it's a real pleasure.
Thank you. You're so kind. I'm going to get into it because I've probably got more questions for you than you've got trainers. So my first question is who is the king of trainers and how does he serve his kingdom?
Okay, so the king of trainers is Franklin Boateng. I mean, it's something that came around when I was a kid. Like we're talking like the 80s. I ain't gonna say how old I am, but my mum used to love tennis. She used to love Boris Becker and things like that. So when he won his championship in like 85, she started to buy me trainers. And then, back in those days, if you had name brand trainers, it was like a nickname, and things like that. So it's just been a nickname, like a local nickname. And when it came to like social media and jumping on social media, a lot of people thought I was trying to kind of show off because of the name King of Trainers. But it was more about highlighting others and giving information and stuff like that. And that's how I was serving the kingdom. But I think the problem is that the name attracts forms of hate and things like that anyway. So people just got envious. But for me, I do a lot for the kingdom. Advice, news, reviews, award shows, events. I do so much for the kingdom.
That's amazing. So what was your reason really for turning that name into a business?
I think it was really after I saw the way social media was going, and I didn't really kind of see it as a business until a number of years into the whole social media growth, where I started to get trainers and then people saying, oh, how much do I charge and stuff like that. So for me, it was about building a personality within the sneaker scene, and it was before this whole word of influencer came around and things like that. I didn't even know, I was what we call an influencer on the streets, in the sense that I would wear stuff from America went like in the 90s and people would be like, oh, where's that? Oh my goodness, I need to get that. So for me, it was never kind of a case of trying to be an influencer. It just kind of stumbled on my lap, so to speak. So yeah.
It sounds like you're a bit of like a sneaker role model to people.
Something like that.
So I read up a little bit that there was a lawsuit around this King of Trainers name. Yeah, you had it first, right?
Yeah. I mean, we didn't quite get to court. I know there's been reports, but we didn't quite get to court. But JD Sports wanted to take me to court because of the whole King of Trainers name. For me, it's been a nickname. I didn't know that I was infringing on their trademark, and they have a retail trademark. So on Twitter, my friend said, Nike, don't just do it. And that's possible nothing. Why doesn't JD Sports speak to the King of Trainers? Then the Twitter account at the time, this was like 10 years ago, like 2011. And the Twitter account at the time was just attacking me saying, who's this imposter, blah, blah. And we were like, oh, we didn't know, like, I didn't know what was going on. Like, we really kind of, thought that it was okay. And then they hit me with a cease and desist letter from the lawyers. I then wrote back to the lawyers and I said, look, can we work this out? They said no. Then they kind of said, you've got like a certain time to comply or else we're taking you to court. And then I learned what there was to know about trademark law within that time. And I was just defending myself because I wasn't trying to kind of infringe. And that's something that people don't understand is you can be passing off. They thought I was passing off as them, but I'm an individual. I'm not a shop, so I wasn't passing off. And then I just said, like, let's go to court because I want that to be defined, that I'm not trying to infringe on their trademark. And they decided not to go to court. And then in not so many words, they started a campaign. There's only one King of Trainers, which, people may not know that was campaign was because of what we went through, so quote unquote. So it was interesting. It was just interesting. Yeah. Then I just kind of pursued social media and kept it going.
So what did you take from that? Is there anything that you learned from that you still apply to your career today?
Yeah, learn as much as you can about whatever you want to do. And for me, I learned a lot about trademark law. Not saying I know everything about trademark law, but I found case studies and I sort of learned that you can't just be bullied into just giving things away when you have a right to them. So for me, it's just really learning a lot about what you want, if you ever face with these types of things, just don't give in so soon.
Yeah, I suppose in business you're going to be faced with a number of challenges, and it's about getting over those hurdles and then applying that to the next hurdle that you're going to come across, because it's always going to happen.
Always going to happen.
So when you did decide to grow the brand through social media, did you have a strategy in mind?
Well, what people don't know is I've been teaching social media for over a decade anyway. I actually built my own social network called Fab's Network. This was 13 years ago. It was like Facebook with its own kind of feed where everyone can contribute. So imagine Instagram online where everyone can contribute to the story. And it was mildly successful within London. So I was in the social media arena anyway. So for me, it was like just a transition, and I teach it. So I was thinking, how can I show people what you're supposed to be doing on social media? And I'm one, I talk about business, I talk about a lot of different things, but I'm one to delve into what I teach. Do you get what I mean? Like, I'm not one of these quote unquote people that haven't done what I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? I've made them. Yeah. No, I'm not that person. I've actually done everything I speak about, from investing to anything that I talk about. I've actually delved in and hit the ground, made the mistakes, and I teach people what not to do.
So you've got a number of partnerships and collaborations. To name a few are ASOS, JD Official, and Illis. Well, I'll come back onto Illis later, but how are you able to position yourself in the market to create such partnerships and collaborations?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just consistent hard work. Like, in terms of the whole sneaker arena, before social media, I was always into trainers. I was doing a lot of what I do on social media, like via email and forums and stuff from before, and on a very small scale with me and my friends. So when it came to social media, I said, let me just be consistent and continue. And when you look at all of the kind of sneaker influencers in the UK who are trainers in the UK, I don't think no one's been really as consistent as I have, and it's just consistency. I've really been consistent, and I've always tried to push forward and do different things and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I get noticed by these brands. Because in the beginning, I did write to a lot of them and say, hey, can we speak? Well, but it just never happened.
Yeah, you've just shown that you're not going anywhere and that you're a good investment. Before getting into a partnership with these brands, do you carry out due diligence? And if so, what's the process of that?
Well, to be honest, depending on what they want me to do or what type of campaign we're doing, you kind of already know from what they've done before. So they normally just reach out to you. You can propose some. Like, I have a lot of different projects that myself and my business partner Chris and the feet, the Puma, and we propose stuff and then we get it done. We get it done. But then some people just reach out because they have a model that they've already done and they just want you to be part of that. So that sometimes is where you kind of see what's happened. And then, you just go with it. You go with it. If the price is right, they pay you, they put money in front of you, and then you just go with it, to be fair. So
when did that kind of all start happening for you then?
It's probably around 2 or 3 years into the social media journey. I remember, I think I was on like 15,000 followers, and I was just doing my thing. And I never really saw it as a real business. And it was Diodora was the first company to really reach out to me and say, hey, we like what you're doing. They sent me like 10 pairs of Diodoras. And it just went crazy. Like, it literally went crazy. And like from there, people would message me and say, oh, can you post this and how much you charge and stuff like that. And it really kind of got to that, and I don't want to mislead anyone. I don't get paid for every single post, but I do get paid for a lot of the like unboxings and content and stuff like that, but it's good. I can't lie.
So I mentioned Illis. Am I pronouncing this right? Yeah, cool.
Illis, yeah, it's Illis, yeah.
Do you know what? I think that's the first ever branded thing I've possibly own when I was younger. So I should be able to say it right. Can you tell us a little bit about the design process of your trainer with LS? That's so cool that you have managed to make that partnership with them and design your own trainer, by the way.
Yeah. So with that, they were re-releasing a retro trainer called the Tanker. And they invited people over the world to come from Australia and stuff. And, I was in a room with all these guys, and we were just looking at like materials, like we're looking at like the shoe. And then they said, oh, you guys can design a pair, and then we'll let you guys have a pair. So that's what we did. It was so cool because they put us in Ace Hotel, food and all that. But then I was having a good time, and I was like, you know what? Let me really focus on this, on what I'm doing. Let me focus on it. And so then I just really like looked at Alessa's history, looked at my mum's history with this, and then tried to merge together. And then I realized that Boris Becker, when he won the championship, he had a dual deal, meaning he had a sponsorship by Puma for his trainers and a less for his clothing. So in '85, when he lifted the championship over his head, he had a light blue and dark blue, a less tracksuit top. So I literally made 1 foot light blue and 1 foot dark blue to symbolize that. And then I had gold laces to symbolize the Wimbledon trophy. And it was literally, in terms of the process, from drawing on paper, literally just drawing on paper, then sending me a CAD, filling in the colors on the CAD, then moving over to, they just created a sample, and then the shoes were kind of ready to go. The whole process took about just under a year. And then, when I previewed my shoe, I previewed just the logo of the shoe, and just the note of the, and then literally they went crazy. Like I had like 600 comments, people going crazy, and that was the start of them saying, you know what, we need to give this guy his own collaboration, and it went from there.
That's amazing. Did it not give you the taste to carry on designing, or?
Oh, it did. I've got some other projects coming up, which I'm not allowed to say yet, but we got some good stuff in the pipeline. Yeah, COVID came. I'll be honest. COVID messed things up. I'll be honest. So the train would have already been out by now, and I might have been on my second collab with them. So it's just COVID really kind of slowed things down. So we're just trying to build the momentum back up.
And I'm excited to see all your future projects when they are released. Can you tell us a little bit about the podcast partnership that you have with LS?
Yeah, so we've got a podcast with Aless. It was At Home with Aless, where I was interviewing a lot of people around the scene from America, Australia, like all over the world, and it's a good feel good thing while people are at home to really kind of get people to kind of listen to stuff. I mean, the only thing now is since the second lockdown, we haven't commenced, but we're gonna relaunch it around the time we do my collaboration. But it was a good partnership, and we interviewed my friend Callie Vegas from Atlanta and stuff. It's been really, really, really good.
I think it's really really cool how you've got all these different projects going to really build your brand, because it really does make a real kingdom having all of these what do you call it, boast your strings. Really impressive.
It does.
No filter. So you mentioned earlier that you have a social media consultancy business. So I just want to touch on that a little bit. After deciding to launch a social media and business consultancy, how did you develop the program and then market the business?
So many, many years ago, like I saw when I had I've had different companies, different businesses, and I really saw how social media was going to become what it is now. So I saw this probably 15 years ago, that exactly what we're doing now, and Instagram and stuff. I saw it before Instagram was even around. And I saw that the internet was going to become the place that you had to master, so I started to go to all these seminars about the future of technology. I've spoken Les Brown, Tony Robbins, all those guys up to their seminars back in the day. I was there. I was, connecting with them and stuff like that. And they kind of gave me, and I have to also, if you can Google this guy, Rene Carrel. Rene Carrel is a mastermind. Rene Carrel is a mastermind. So he used to do something at the London Economics School, which was like a future of business kind of thing. And I used to let me come, the tickets are like £500, £1,000 to sit in the room. And I used to go there and he used to let me come and stuff like that. And I just used to see what the future was going to be about. So this was about 15 years ago. And then from there, I built my social network. And then from doing that, I started my seminar. So I had my first solo seminar in, I think 2012. So I started doing seminars about social media, So as soon as Instagram started, as soon as Twitter kind of was really getting off the ground, and Facebook, I will have seminars teaching about these things. And all the stuff I was teaching was leading up to now. So what I'd done is I had already built some form of footprint online, So by building a footprint online for over a decade, people know you're the real deal. So you can go to Google, type in Franklin Boateng, and you'll see you'll see press about me from like 5-10 years ago. But I was doing this consciously, knowing that this is the way things are going to go forward. And building your social footprint allows people to really take you seriously. I mean, I've done a TED Talk 6 years ago before it became a thing to do TED Talks and stuff like that. So I really kind of built footprints to really be like, okay, if someone wants to take you seriously, unfortunately, we live in a world like, if because I know you have a relationship, you can message me and speak to me. Everyone can't do that. Does that make sense? So you just have to kind of let them do their research. And that's the only way they research you. They can maybe listen to my books or whatever, but they want to research, who has he done something with? Who is it, And by leaving your footprint online, it builds business. You can build business just from that.
So would you say that building your business consultancy is different to, say, a social media influencer building their brand?
No, it's not too different. It's just that when you're an influencer, you got to know where you're going. Because even what I'm doing now, I've seen the whole algorithms and Instagram changing, and I'm going to be launching different businesses based on the strength of me. Just doesn't make sense. So from that side of things, I know, okay, the king of trainers on Instagram is going in waves. So you have to start building businesses around that. Do you get what I mean? So that's what I've done in terms of I've helped launch a new app called Oo, which is like the #1 shopping app in the country now. Do you get what I mean? So I'm building businesses around this person, And then when it comes to my social media business, the King of Trainers is a brand, but Franklin Boateng is the person. So Franklin Boateng is, you have to cement yourself as, okay, this is Franklin Boateng. This is who people can trust away from the brand. And it's the same thing, but being an influencer, you got to know trends. You got to see where things are going, but being a consultant, you also have to kind of make sure you have as much offline as you do online.
So what I'm picking up from this is like a person is selling whatever it is, a product, a business, but for people to buy into it, they want to know the person and to know that the person is good and honest and doing the right things, and then they will buy into what they're selling.
Correct, 100%, 100%. And that's what you have to do your best at doing. You can't please everyone. Don't get me wrong, you can't please everyone. You're going to piss people off. You're going to upset people. But if you have a track record of consistent, being a good person, a good business, that can counteract whatever's out there. Do you get what I mean? I'll give you a story. One of my clients, very successful developer, but he was anti-social media, complete anti-social media. And then what happened was, I can't say his name for legal reasons, but he basically was just about to close a £5 million deal, a finance deal to finance a block of flats, a really nice development. And you know how it is with building, it's one day you're losing money. So you need to release the money and get going. So he went to some of these financiers, they agreed in principle, They signed the contracts and stuff like that. And then all they did, like a couple of days went past. So imagine that we signed a contract, a couple of days going past, and he's waiting for the money. This is 5 million. This is not small money. He then says, why hasn't the money come, guys? Like, what's happening? He calls them up. They like, get down to our offices right now. He drives down to the offices, and all they did was Google his name. He has a very unique name. So they Googled his name, and what someone did to spite him was do a one-page blogger account on online, and literally have the blogger.hisname.com. Yeah. And a lot of people know that bloggers owned by Google. So if you wanted good SEO, you could do a blogger account, and that will give you good SEO if you want to advertise something. This person was that smart to know that, and they just had the person's name, and that was the only piece of information this gentleman had online. So then what happened was, because that was the only piece of information this gentleman had online, that was all they can see of him. Literally, they ripped up the contracts in front of him, and he lost 5 million. And the development, I don't know what happened to development. I think he saved development. I think he sold it, had to sell it on, but he missed out on actually doing that. So that goes to show you that it's that easy for things to crumble if you're not really building yourself as a good person online. Do you get what I mean? And I'm not saying be fake. I'm saying be as genuine as you can, and true to what you promote. Do you get what I mean? It's a bit like with me. I promote social media, I promote business, but I would be a hypocrite if people couldn't reach me. Does that make sense? Like, not everyone can reach me, don't get me wrong, but if you're messaging me and I was ignoring and stuff, that's just being a hypocrite. It's not being nice. Does that make sense? So it's just trying your best to be consistent in what you preach.
So, do you think that all entrepreneurs should use a form of social media to grow their business?
I would say, not everyone needs it, to be fair, but now in business, it's the way that people find people. If someone does you something wrong and you know their name, you're going to go to social media and type it in. That's just human nature now. Before you had yellow pages, you had all these different things, but you can kind of manipulate social media in a way that if someone's done something wrong, you can go on social media and call them out. If they haven't got anything to defend themselves, you're kind of the authority. So people can Google and be like, oh, we saw this called it, it must be true. And people are so quick to listen to what is on social media if you don't have anything else. So if someone called me out, Franklin, people Google me and be like, right, look what he's done. Actually, he's this correct, because he's been consistent in doing good things in different business arenas. You kind of need to be aware of what arena you're going into and how you can combat any type of negative press.
Yeah, I just think it's such a great way of doing marketing. I've spoken to various people from different industries, and they've all harnessed, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, all of these kind of things. They all use it in some kind of way, and they've all built up some kind of following, and it does seem to be working for them. So, do you think that IG is here to stay?
Yeah, I would say so. It is. I definitely think the algorithms are changing. You've got TikTok happening. You've got all these different things, but it stays as long as Facebook wanted to stay, because Facebook, they're really increasing their dominance and presence with IG. It's dwindling, but then it's dwindling to people like us who have been on it. But then the other people that are discovering it are like, oh my God, IG is amazing. So, but I think it's definitely here to stay. It's definitely a platform that you kind of need to have in business when you're launching a product.
Yeah, you mentioned the algorithm. When I first started using it, you would see the picture that somebody last posted onto it, and now it's crazy, right? Now I don't even know what it is. It's like, it is insane. How do you keep up with this? How do you ensure that you're at the top?
I post every day, and some days what I do is I know my quiet period. So sometimes on weekends I just don't post to allow the post to be seen by more people. Before, the algorithm was you post, all your followers see it, they like it, they comment, etc. Now if you post, it might skip people. So if you leave the post up, like you may post something on Monday and not post until Wednesday, those 3 days allow the algorithm to catch up with the person. So I've been testing that theory, like maybe posting on Friday, they're not posting again until Monday, and then seeing the difference in likes for something that I've had consistently. So it's crazy, and unfortunately, it's kind of made us slaves to social media. It's made us slaves to Instagram, because you think, oh no, my content's not doing well, blah, blah. But as I've taught at my seminars, you should just do what you like and be consistent, and whatever's going to happen, it will happen. Not saying that it's guaranteed, but just put out what you want to put out and just keep it going. Don't worry about likes and stuff. I don't worry about likes. For me, likes are, that's why I've changed everything to views, because I know my stuff is still getting viewed. So from a advertising and business perspective, someone would be like, you know what, Franklin's the stuff's still getting viewed and he still gets people interacting. So whatever, it doesn't matter what likes he gets, he's real people are interacting with him.
Yeah. Don't become a prisoner to the likes.
No.
So what advice would you give to an aspiring social media consultant, somebody who wanted to start off maybe now at this time?
I would say, if I'm honest, know exactly what part of social media you want to consult on, and definitely have some case studies of what you've done, how you've able to help, because people unfortunately are really fickle. Gone are the days where you can say, oh, I work in advertising and here's a billboard I've done, here's a billboard I've done, do you know what I mean? Now you have to basically be like, I'm a consultant, I've consulted this company, that company, and people need to see the results. And then unfortunately, if they don't see that you're doing what you're telling them to do, then it's a bit like yourself. When you came, I think, to my seminar, how many? It was quite a few.
Do you know what? I think that must have been 2017.
And from your opinion, by following me, do you feel that I have been doing what I was teaching?
100%. 100%.
This is
You're so
what I'm
consistent
saying.
with your posts. You got a variety as well, which I think is really important. So yeah, 100%.
This is, and being a consultant, you have to be able for people to say that about you. Do you get what I mean? Like, people have to be able to be like, oh, Raf, 3 years ago I met you, but you're still doing the same. It can't be, oh, you stopped, and and that's kind of what you have to really do.
I also have to add, every time I've bugged you over Messenger or anything like that, you've always been so quick to reply as well.
Yeah, I try my best, and it's funny because even though I do get messages, but I get so many messages. But I always, you're a good person, and I appreciate you, and I always try. Oh my God, I need to get back, and if I don't, and I always tell people, don't get offended if I don't get back straight away, because I'm just I've got a lot going on. Yeah.
You were saying like you'd build a portfolio up. Is that right? If you were a social media consultant,
yeah.
Right?
Correct. I'll build a portfolio. Yeah. I'll build a portfolio up. I would do case studies, that people can kind of see. Oh, right, this person's done this, and this. I would also advise anybody to, I think I said this in my seminar, buy your first name and last name as a domain name. Like, buy your full name as domain name. Use that as your website, as the place where people can type and see, oh, that's you. That's very important, because everything is on face value, unfortunately, social media world. Everything's on face value. It's a bit like before, like a mechanic, right? They can fix your car, but you don't know what's done. Does that make sense? Because you can't see it. But if you say, oh, I'm a social media consultant, I'm someone that is doing stuff in social media, it's something that can be seen quite instantly. You can fake social media, don't get me wrong, but you can't fake consistency. People will know if you're not being consistent, if you're not doing the things that you say you're doing. So you need to kind of build some form of case study and have people that can vouch for you. Unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately. Unfortunately, because sometimes you always need that validation, but fortunately, because people can be like, is he really that good? Is he really gonna help our business, and why should I part my money with this particular gentleman or lady?
Cool. So would that be perhaps getting people to give you a review or something like that?
What I do on my news site, I just launched my news site, franklinboateng.com. I've got a media section where it shows all my media, and what I'm building on that side as well is just testimonies, just people from different. Just give me a paragraph of what I've done, what I've done for them, how I've helped, etc., etc. And that's really all you need. That, and then try to, like, what you're doing now is perfect in terms of the whole podcast thing. To have spend your time building different things online. So when you do type in Franklin Boateng into Spotify, you type in Franklin Boateng into YouTube, you type in Franklin Boateng into Instagram, you type in Franklin Boateng into Google, you find different things I've done. And that helps a lot. That helps a lot. And I know it sounds very, very cocky, but I've kind of built myself to a point where once a week, my phone will always ring with opportunities because of stuff I put out there.
It seems like you've got a lot of different channels as well, like picking up all these different opportunities as well. So you've not just gone in one straight line and taking what's off that. You've really done everything. How about the next generation of social media influencers? What advice do you have for them?
Oh, wow. It's going to be crazy because everyone's a social media influencer, unfortunately now. Fortunately and unfortunately. But my advice is just be authentic and be consistent. I think even myself, people in the beginning thought I was unauthentic because I wear my crown and my robe. And people are like, oh my God, he's just a gimmick, blah, blah, blah. But then when they actually go back into my sneaker history and my footwear, they're like, this guy has really been that guy when I was a kid. And people can ask my friends who I grew up with, was Franklin that was he that guy? And that's sometimes when it comes to the whole influencer thing, a lot of people can't say that, because they've changed and molded, which is okay. Not saying people have to live the whole thing, but it's just be authentic to what you know and what you can do, and not overdo it to the point where you're like, oh no, like, do you get what I mean? You've become unstuck.
What you're saying is you need to be yourself, know yourself, and stick to your morals. But as you were saying earlier about staying ahead of the trends, how does a person, remain true to themselves whilst staying ahead of the trends and knowing how to position yourself in the future?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say you have to really learn what the trends are going to happen. And what is a trend that's going to really rise as a real wave? Does that make sense? Because before Instagram was really how it is now, I was teaching Instagram. Do you get what I mean? Like, I went in on Instagram. I was like, oh my God, this is how it's going to be. And, and I've been learning about TikTok. I've been learning, and one of the newest thing that I'm really kind of excited about is social commerce. Social commerce is going to be the next big thing. I don't know if you've seen, I'm on something called oo.com. It is incredible. So I learn so much about what is happening. I've got I'm fidgety. I think I've got ADHD, and I'm always, okay, what's the next big thing? What's the next big thing? And I try to kind of at least fit myself into those conversations from an early stage now, and be like, okay, I need to really jump on this. A lot of things like from Clubhouse and all these different things, I was on there early. Sometimes I might not even can be consistent on there, but I'm just on there to kind of, okay, how can this benefit me? And to anyone listening to this, you don't have to do everything. You don't, because you become a slave to social media. Find something that you can do easily and just do it yourself easily. And that's the best way to go. But sometimes you do have to create content that you're not really, it may be disconnected from you and stuff like that. But if it benefits and aids you, sometimes you just have to do things you don't want to do. It's a bit like any job. You may not like something, I don't want to do it, but I have to do it, type of thing. So It's just have to treat it like a job, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. I do really agree with you. The more you do, the more you learn, the more you can develop yourself, and the bigger you can,
100%.
you can grow.
Bro, 100%. 100%.
So, do you think that social media moguls should invest in, well, I say high tech camera gear? Like, what kind of gear should they be getting starting off, and then like moving on further into the career?
I'll be honest, my phone this is my media center, my phone. I wouldn't tell anyone to overinvest in things they can't afford and not know how to use them. I'm fortunate enough to know how to edit and stuff like that, and I do all of those things, but I still am a fan of people just being creative with what they have. So for me, I have a mobile phone that I film all my content on. I use an app called Pick Play Post, which does my editing for me. It's an app which is, I think I pay £100 or something like that, or it's £5 a month. Pick Play Post. I do all my editing on there, and it edits really good. It saves in HD or 4K, and then I have a tripod so I can put my camera wherever I am. And unless you know how to use these expensive pieces of equipment, don't buy them. I'll be honest, don't buy them. For my podcast, I have what you call a blue ink mic, which you can Google. It's £40. So I just have basic things, and I just create content with my basic things that become, valuable to people and brands and things like that.
I agree with you. When I first started looking into this whole blogging thing, I created a website probably in 2016 and wanted to take really cool photos. So a couple of years ago, I did invest in quite an expensive camera, but I thought, do you know what? I need it anyway for when I take photos. I never take photos on it because I just use my phone all the time. Yeah, so do you know what? I have recorded a couple of I've taken vlogging footage of podcasts, and it does work really well because I can use a memory card in it and stuff like that, but I only use it because I have it. I haven't needed to. So yeah. You also mentioned your TED Talk earlier. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I've done a TED Talk, I think it was 2014, and it was really called The Social Media Mind. So at the time, I was teaching social media in schools, and it was about what's happening now on social media in terms of trolling and bullying and things like that. It was about asking and teaching students and kids social media before, at a young age, before they reach kind of teenage and stuff like that. So they don't have to they're not faced with all these challenges and bullying and things like that. And it was called a social media mind. And it was really kind of trying to explain to people, if we can just teach our young people about social media. And it was really good. The good thing with a TEDx talk is it helped people know that you're authentic and you're doing. I would recommend anyone can try to apply to do a TED talk, because it does, from a business perspective, it raises your profile, but then from a personal perspective, it really kind of builds your character. Where I'm from Tottenham. I grew up in the worst of times, the Broad Farm riots and stuff like that. And for me to come from where I'm come from and done a TED talk and these different things, it is really kind of inspiring for my peers and people around me. So I would recommend anyone try to do a TED talk.
I have watched it. It was very good, and I'm going to put all of these things in the show notes so people can know where to look.
Thank you so much.
I just think it's so important to educate young people about social media. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it does have its benefits, but it also has a hell of a lot of negative things about it as well. So yeah, I do think that people need to be educated about it. No filter. So going more now into well-being, can you tell us the best part and worst part about running a business? I mean, it doesn't need to be well-being. It can be anything, I guess.
But you're right. I mean, you're right. I think I definitely think that running a business is hard. It's definitely hard. I think the best part is I don't want to say freedom, but it's controlling your own destiny. When you control your own destiny, you can kind of be like, okay, I wake up, I can set my own schedule, etc., etc. But it's not easy. I think that's the misconception of, and it's something that I know maybe is put out there like it's such a luxury to have your own business. It really isn't a luxury. You're going to work harder than working a 9 to 5. I think when it comes to being an entrepreneur, something deep in your soul that you need to really search for and be like, I can feel this. Like I've been self-employed since 2003. So it's nearly 20 years of just doing this consistently.
You know, I know people that are self-employed and they've gone in and out of it because it is hard to keep up.
It's
So well
hard.
done. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but I had to say that. Well done.
No, it's really hard. And there's been times I've been like, oh, I just want to work. I just want to, but I call myself unemployable because I've been doing my own thing for so long, and touch wood, I've managed to do well and live an okay life from it. You know, managed to buy property, managed to invest in things and stuff like that. So, but not everyone can see that because nearly 10 years ago, I nearly went bankrupt. Do you get what I mean? So you got to understand it's really, you have to be thick-skinned. You have to be strong internally and believe in yourself. So the worst part for me is just not having the security net. But again, you got to know why you're an entrepreneur.
So you mentioned that you've done like a couple of different things, not one after the other either. You've got things going on. Yeah. How do you manage to do all these things so well all at the same time without, spreading yourself too thinly?
The truth is, you don't really do every 100% well all the time. You make mistakes and you're going to fall flat. I do try to utilize my days as best as I can. And in the early stages, I start spinning plates to the point that the plates spin themselves. And I know that as long as I produce this amount of content, answer this amount of emails, I've got a system in place. So that's how I manage to kind of stay on top of things, and with the current lockdown, things have slowed down in certain businesses that I need to kind of re-pick up, so I've invested in like a CBD franchise. So I've got a shop opening as soon as lockdown. So there's different things that I need to actually be physical and present for that I need to be out. So I just have to kind of wait until things get back going.
How many hours are you working a day?
Yeah, I get up about 6 in the morning. And I go to bed maybe 12, 1. So, I mean, in the morning, I'll be honest, like, I don't know sometimes. Wednesdays, on Wednesdays, let me give you, like, today's Wednesday, right? So I pre-record my content for the next day. So I know by 8 a.m. I need to have my content up. So my content needs to be edited and ready to go up by 8 a.m. Then at 8 a.m. I put up a few pieces up. 10 a.m. I'm teaching. So I teach my students from 10 to 11:30. 11:30 I have a bit of a break. 12, I then check emails, make a few phone calls. 1, I have meetings just literally throughout the day, etc., etc. I know it sounds crazy, but I try to get a nap in. I try to get a nap. I try to get a nap in between a lot of these things, like a power nap. And I know it sounds, people like, oh, power nap. You need to try to nap because it does during the day. You feel so drained. If you can get like an hour nap or 30-minute nap in, and because you're going to go longer, it is really good if you can do it. And I remember when you're a kid and you're as a toddler or whatever, you don't want to nap through the day. You actually have to nap. As an adult, I've realized how important it is, and don't let anyone tell you different. Try to get a nap in if you can. Don't try to burn all the way, all the time, or else it will affect you.
God, I'm terrible waking up after a nap though.
Yeah, I know. But you do it regular and you just get into kind of a routine and, okay, cool, I'm ready. Okay. Everyone's different, but try to do it regularly.
So you mentioned today's Wednesday and you know what you're doing on Wednesday. Do you have a plan for all of your days? Do you know what's going on or?
Nah, not really. No, because sometimes I get thrown off or, So I have to fit things into things, like, so like sometimes I even done this, I think yesterday, you asked me and I said, let's do it today. That's how I am. So I know that I want to get it done. Do you get what I mean? So sometimes I'm really fitting. Yeah, I have to fit things into my day to make sure that it's done, so I can kind of move forward.
You know what? It sounds like everything that you do gives you energy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to keep all these plates spinning, as you were saying. How do you keep a clear mind in order to keep coming up with all these inventive business ideas?
Everyone says they're creative, yeah, which is fine. But I've been creative my whole life. So I spew out like concepts and ideas and stuff so much that I don't even, sometimes I can be in the middle of doing a podcast and I thought of something and I'm like, oh, I need to go and try to do that afterwards. Do you get what I mean? So in terms of my personal sanity, I do spend maybe in the mornings or an hour or whatever just being still. Like, I think that's quite important for me, to just be still. Like, literally sit down, not turn the television on, and just sit down in your own thoughts and be still. So that maybe I do that like an hour, half an hour a day, maybe early in the morning, or during the day. Like, I just sit still, and that's kind of helps me kind of get to where I need to be. So that does help. But sometimes I'm on go. It depends on the season. Sometimes I'm on go all the time.
And how do you feel when you're on the go all the time? Do you feel good?
Yeah, I do. I don't, it's crazy. I do. I really enjoy what I do. So I don't see anything as a chore. I'm very motivated, self-motivated. So when I'm doing stuff, I like giving. I think I like giving. I like speaking. I like connecting. I'm just really kind of that person. So everything gives me.
And you can see your vision coming to life. I guess it would give me real energy to be able to see things unfold. Indeed. And to see kind of like my thoughts turn into reality. So do you think that you have a healthy work-life balance?
Yeah, no, it is important to have one, but I have sacrificed a lot to be here, if I'm honest. Relationships and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm just not a 9 to 5 person, so it's really hard to have relationships and stuff like that. You have to really understand where you're going, and that will keep you focused. I do try my best to socialize and to really connect with people and check up on people and stuff like that.
So how can people make an appointment with you and connect with you on social media?
Okay, well, now I've set up my new website, so everyone needs to go to my website, Franklin Boateng, BOATENG.com, franklinboateng.com, and they can look at what I do. What people always say to me, they always want advice on social media and stuff like that, which is fine. So what I've done a set of free audiobooks which people can listen to for free on Spotify, or Anchor. So if someone wants to ask me about social media, I just ask out of politeness to see if they're serious, listen to my audiobooks or come to one of my seminars before we connect. Because a lot of the stuff, I give the information for free. And because I'm so busy, I don't want to offend when I say, oh, this is how much or whatever. Do you get what I mean? Like, so people who've already been to my webinars, my seminars, or I've taught, have easy access to me because I don't forget. Get what I mean? But to connect with me, I would say just go through those steps. Listen to my books, go to my website, and then just hit me on an email or a DM, and I'll get back to you.
Highly recommend, honestly. As I said earlier, I came to one of your classes 4 years ago, and I still remember things that you said. It does honestly work. So yeah,
just to kind of leave people with this real thought is it's not easy. It kind of maybe never will be easy, but it is satisfying. It is so satisfying being your boss and being an entrepreneur. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, and I mean, I'll tell you something. In the beginning, I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. I was like, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire before I'm 30. I want to be a millionaire before 30. And I was doing it for money. And then when I got to that stage of quote unquote millionaire status or what people deem, I was like, what? This is not what I thought it would feel like. Do you get what I mean? So then I literally started to do things more with for purpose, and that's where it kind of led me to where I am now. So it really does. It really does. You need to really think about what you're doing and really go for it.